Good morning. Mackenzie Johnston with Tri-State Livestock News, bringing you your Monday morning headlines concerning fair cattle markets. Sponsored by Sandhills State Bank, the most committed brand in banking, and Sandhills Beef Company, American producers feeding Americans because monopolies won't get us anywhere. To learn a little bit more about Sandhills Beef Company over in Mullen, Nebraska, head on over to their website, sandhillsbeefco.com. According to DTN Progressive Farmer, the December 1 Cattle on Feed report came and went without any surprises or market shakeups. But when you start to dig a bit deeper into these numbers, you find that they don't exactly line up. The seasonal feeder cattle marketing surge during October and November didn't happen, and cattle placements during these months ranked as the fourth lowest of the last 5 years. Despite July and September placements being above previous years' placement levels, the market is still exceptionally short compared to past years' feedlot placements. On average, 2020 cattle placements in 1,000 head feedlots and larger fell 719,000 head below the previous 3 years. The cow herd has been experiencing a contraction over the past couple years, and that led to 2020's annual calf crop being short 250,000 head. Even with this smaller calf crop, there is still 500,000 head of calves unaccounted for when trying to balance the yearly feeder cattle placement numbers. A potential explanation for these reduced placement numbers is a significant increase in heifers being retained in the beef cow herd. The status of the market, the fact that the nation's beef herd is expected to continue contracting over the next year, increased feed costs, and drought spreading through many large cattle producing regions makes this explanation highly unlikely. Another option is that these calves may be placed in feedlots under a 1,000 head threshold, which would mean that they aren't counted by the cattle on feed report. The final explanation is that these calves weren't ever sold and were instead held over on grass or wheat through the early winter months. If this is the case, look for an increase in placements in January, February, and March reports. Tri-State Livestock News has reported that last week, Senator John Thune, a Republican from South Dakota, and Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, introduced the Strengthening Local Processing Act. Senator Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine, and Angus King, an independent from Maine, are both original co-sponsors of the bill. This bipartisan legislation is meant to provide federal support to America's small meat and poultry processors and strengthen and streamline their operations. The bill will give small food processors more access to information that is important for food safety planning, and it will allow more inspector-approved meat products to be sold across state lines. Additionally, it will funnel federal dollars towards training, education, and technical assistance programs. This legislation would require the Food Safety Inspection Service, FSIS, to establish a searchable database of peer-reviewed, publicly available studies to establish and maintain hazard analysis and critical control points plans, also known as HACCP plans. This legislation would increase the federal government's cost share of meat and poultry inspection programs, which is needed for small food processors to approve their products, from 50% to 65%. Furthermore, it would allow state-inspected meat facilities to operate as federal inspection facilities, allowing more small and local processors to ship their products to other states and internationally. This legislation would create a grant program to support small plants by providing reimbursement grants. These grants would help cover costs associated with meeting state or federal inspection guidelines, expanding infrastructure to establish or increase harvest and processing capacity, and adapting to the COVID-19 pandemic and future market needs. Finally, the bill would establish training grants to support and train small plant operators, small plant employees, and the next generation of meat processors and butchers. It would also provide $10 million to be authorized in discretionary funding for higher education, training, and processor career training. Sounds like a heck of a deal. Finally, National Beef Wire reported on Thursday that choice box beef ended the day at $207.54. That was down $3.13. And select box beef ended the day at $197.93, and that was down $1.66. that is all I have for you guys this morning. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. It was beautiful here. We've had beautiful weather over the past few days, and it was a fantastic Christmas. Lots of time spent with family. Have yourself a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.